Hey, I'm glad you're watching today because I believe I have a word for you that's going to encourage you to develop big faith for the big dreams that God has for you. You know, God is such a big God, and anything He calls us to do, it's going to be bigger than we are. It's going to be so big that you think, how in the world could I accomplish this? Well, you can't without God, and it's going to require that you have faith in God to see it come to pass. So that just proves to us that you've got to develop big faith in order to go after the big dreams God has for you. You know, we've all been given the measure of faith. The Bible tells us that. We've all been given the measure of faith. Well, then why is it that some people seem to believe for big things and others believe for small things? Well, you know, it's no different than like the muscles that we've been given. We've all been given the same amount of muscles at birth. So what's the difference in me and like the power team guys, you know, the big muscle guys that bark at people and crash things with their heads? What's the difference in me and them? Well, they have developed their muscles to a greater degree than I have. You know, not too long ago, I called the president of the power team, Todd, and I said, hey, Todd, I got an idea. I need to talk to you for a minute. Are you busy? And he said, oh, I'm just picking up my car. And I said, well, can you put it down so we can talk for a second? But anyway, they have developed their muscles to such a degree, and it's caused them to grow and to increase and enlarge in their biceps. Well, faith works the same way. Your spirit works the same way. The more you develop your faith, the more you can handle. That's why you see some people who are able to believe God for millions of dollars, and others are believing for a tank of gas. One has developed their faith to a greater degree. Well, how do you build your faith? How does faith grow? Well, the number one method that God has given us to build our faith, to increase our faith, is found in Romans 10:17. It simply says, faith comes by hearing the word. Faith comes by hearing the word. It actually says faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Now, what that means is that it's in the continual present tense, that you have to continue hearing the words, like building your muscles. You can't just stop, build your faith for such a time and then just stop and expect to maintain that. No more than you can lift weights, get really muscular and in shape, and then just stop. You're going to go backwards. You're going to go back where you came from. Well, it's the same with the Word of God. You can't get to such a place in your life with the Word that you just stop hearing it. Faith comes by hearing the Word, but faith also goes by not hearing the Word. Faith comes by hearing, faith goes by not hearing. So that just proves to us that it has to be a part of your daily routine. Now, I'm convinced daily routine is vital, because just going to church Sunday morning, listening to a message for 30, 45 minutes, that's like going to the gym, working out one day a week, 30, 45 minutes, and expecting to look the way you want to look, feel the way you want to feel. It's not going to happen for most of us. Well, it's the same with the Word of God. If you want to develop big faith, then listen to the Word consistently, and it's not hard. You might even say, Terri, I don't have time to hear the Word every day, but I think you do. Listen to this. I read something the other day that said the average American watches 6 hours of television every single day. 6 hours. It said by the time you're 60 years old, you have spent 15 years of your life glued to the tube. 15 years, that's like a fourth of your life glued to the television. Well, what if you just cut out 1 hour a day, still watch your 5, but cut out 1 hour a day? For a year, that is 365 hours of additional time, or 2 months of additional time. To do what? Build your faith. Build your faith. Do something to hear the Word, to listen to a faith-building CD. You can do that. Why? Because as you build your faith, it's going to give you that motivation. It's going to give you that trust in God to start going towards your dreams, to start taking steps towards those things that look impossible right now. That's what faith does. It helps you start to believe all things are possible. I can do this. With God on my side, nothing's impossible. That's what happens when you hear the Word. Well, another thing I read, it said the average person commutes 30 minutes each way to and from work. 30 minutes. Over a 5-year period, That's 1,250 hours that you have spent just in your car, just driving. That is the equivalent of a college education. You could be educating yourself in the car, on the way to work, on the way home, on the way there, on the way back. Think about that. All you're doing is building yourself up. Well, you know, I read something not too long ago about a certain type of fish. And I have my fish here. This is Louis, as in Louis Vuitton. It's my little pt.1, my little fish. And it said that there's a certain species of fish that if you keep them in a tiny, small aquarium like this one, then they'll stay small. But if you take that same fish, put them into a large body of water, it said they will increase and expand to their intended size. That's crazy. Think about that. Take that same fish, put them in a large body of water, and they'll grow to their intended size. The article I was reading, it said that people are the same way. Keep them in a harsh and limited environment, and they'll stay small. But you put that same person in an environment where they encourage growth. People are encouraging them to think bigger, think beyond the realm of possibility, stretch your imagination, dream big. Then they will reach to their intent, they'll grow to their intended size. Well, the best way you can do that is get around big dreamers. Get around people who believe that all things are possible with God. You might say, I don't know anyone like that. The best way to do that is listen to their CDs, read their books, learn from their experiences. I mean, when you begin hearing other people constantly encouraging you with what they've been through, when they first got this dream, it looked impossible, there's no way it could happen, but they set their face like flint. They set their hands to the plow and refused to look back at their past. When you start hearing those things over and over and over, it gets down on the inside of you. See, that's what the Word of God does. It's not like just listening to music or having the TV on. The Word of God gets on the inside of you and it renews your mind. You begin thinking differently. You begin talking differently. You begin acting differently. You begin to dream bigger. That's what happens as you start a habit of hearing the Word. I want you to get this brand new message I just taught on big faith for big dreams. In this message, I share 7 steps that I've learned in my own life that will help you from just going from wishes and hopes to reality in your life. And I'm telling you, it's a simple 7-step process. It is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And it's just a matter of doing it. If I can do it, you can do it. So I want to challenge you to develop big faith by hearing the Word of God to go after those big dreams that God has for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.